We are here live from the South Dakota Governor's Bass Cup 2024, day one here Saturday from Spring Creek Recreation Area on Lake Oahe. This is kind of the midday update. What are we hearing, boys? How's the morning been? How are we looking?
You know, it's been pretty quiet. We don't got much conversation back. Zach and Nate are out in the boat. Hopefully they'll come live with us here in a little bit. And, you know, they just got out there to go check. But, man, weather.
It's gorgeous.
You couldn't ask for a better day. And, I mean, we've been setting up all morning. Trey here started helping us out last couple weeks ago at the Sharp Showdown. And now he's here helping us with the Bass Cup and part of the high school skeet and 5 and trap team. And he helped last time. I guess he liked it. He wanted to come back.
Sure did.
But yeah, so I gotta imagine it's the perfect day out there.
I agree.
I mean, slight breeze, little ripple on the lake. It's getting warm.
Yep.
It's getting warm. I mean, we might have turned the air on the old lodge deck here.
It was 40 degrees when we were taking off, and I had my quarter zip on. And the second we started putting things together, a lot of clothes came off because that sun's out. It got powerful. It's summer now. It's when that sun comes up, it's ready to go. So Trey, I mean, tell us a little bit about yourself while we're waiting for an update on the water. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I just recently graduated from Pierre High School. I am part of the high school trap, skeet, and 5 stand, and we started helping at the shootout
a couple weeks ago.
Yep, end of April.
I offered myself to help extra because you wanted it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Kurt wanted help. What?
Yeah. I got nothing better to do and make it go better and faster, and nothing better than seeing all the fish come up on the stage.
Yeah, no, that's like I said, that's gonna be my favorite part of the day because usually I only want to see like 5-6 fish brought on the stage. Now I actually want to see all the fish coming on. Now I won't be when I see a big one. So
yeah, Zach requested a cowbell for weigh-ins. So the weather's only showing 64, but it feels like 74.
Yep.
And yeah, it is definitely warm out here. It's gonna be. I'm hoping. I mean, I got my Windy app, and it shows like on my Windy app, it shows how good the fish are, and it's down to 1 fish. 3 fish is good, 2 fish, and then 1 fish, and then when it's a skeleton, it's really bad. We're at 1 skinny fish.
Oh,
so I don't know if that's good or bad.
Well, it's not a skeleton.
I mean, but tomorrow shows skeletons. All day.
Tomorrow's a skeleton.
Yeah, but all the tournaments so far this year have showed skeletons for them.
Well, I can confirm that skeleton and Chamberlain. I can confirm that one might not have been skeleton. That might have been undead zombie. Yeah. Was what that one was. But yeah, I mean, I'm bringing 27 pounds. I'm still saying we're gonna have 27 pounds. So I don't need no skeleton weights. We're gonna have this. We got our bets going here.
Trey, what do you think it's gonna be for 6 bass today?
32.5.
You 30 swinging hard.
Wow. I want to go fishing with him once we're done.
Anybody out there listening, put your bet in, put your guess in on the comments here and see how much we bring in for 6 bass on Lake Oahe. Their smallest one could be 12 inches. There is no overs like in walleyes. And they can sort.
Yep.
You know, there is no such thing as a no call in a bass, in bass in South Dakota or anywhere in the country. And yeah.
And we talked about that this morning too on takeoff, but I kind of want to go a little bit more into it. Like if this was the Walleye Cup, there's a very good chance that we have people that are absolutely done fishing right now. They are no longer fishing. They have all their tags allotted. They have their 2 overs. They might be headed in. They might just be sitting out there. These guys are going to fish hard till 3 o'clock because they can at 2:55 they can make an upgrade. Granted, that'd be in the bay, but
yeah, I mean. I watched a YouTube video on the MLF series, and it was like the title was like "Every Minute Counts" or something. And the guy had 2 minutes, or a minute, and he pulled into a spot, dropped his trolling motor because they don't have to be back in. It's just a marshal in the boat, and it stops them.
Yep.
1 minute left. He pulls in. The guy goes, "You got 1 minute." Drops his trolling motor, makes 1 cast, and he has a huge upgrade.
Jeez.
Lands it, and they go. He gets it hooked, and they're like. He's reeling. He goes 10 seconds. He flips it in the boat, and with 10 seconds left to go, and it just upgraded him. And that's the thing is, like you said, we have a bet in. You got a comment there with a bet.
Oh, Matt 28.12.
So we don't weigh. We'll count that, but we don't weigh in we weigh in decimals, not ounces. So it's 0.0 to 0.99. So
Yep.
so people know that. So
So,
yeah.
so he'd be like 28.8 would be
Yeah,
a 7, 8.
28.
Yep, 7 or 8.
Yeah.
I like the 28 pounds. I mean, that's right on board with 27, but not quite as sluggerish as 32. I mean,
have a good number in there.
You gotta have hope. Swing for it. But yeah, hit the share on the screen so people
yep.
can see that.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, remember, Kurt's still showing me all this. I'm the production crew, but I've never been the production crew. I'm usually just the personality because I lack that. I lack personality some days.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't think you like personalities, but we got another bet of.
Whoa, Todd's a little negative today. 22 pounds. Ooh.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see a little better than that. I mean, last couple years, I think our big bags like that 24, 25 pound mark. And like I said, talked to a few of them a couple weeks ago. There was no doubt in the mind that we were gonna see a 30-pound bag, and I think that's kind of tapered off. They said the water temp was warmer 2 weeks ago from where he was fishing, and he lost water temp the next week.
Okay.
And from little I know about bass fishing, I think somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, is that they were sliding up on beds.
Yep.
And they think they pulled back off because the water temper got cooler. But right down here behind the trailer, Zach was telling us there's some buck bass that are sliding up on beds, and you can stand behind the trailer at Spring Creek. You can see them rippling in the water, popping up on there. And he goes, "They're nothing. They're not going to do anything. There's little ones, 1 pounders, but Mama's somewhere around there getting ready to slide up on that bed." And that's the thing about Lake Oahe. You can fish in a couple feet of water, bed fish them, or you can slide out deep. And Zach was telling us a story about, I think it was Brock Bielik or somebody out there in 75 foot of water, throwing the top water, something, I don't remember what he called it, some crazy name they have for their baits, but he said he slid up and the bass slid up and they were coming out. He was watching them on a scope coming out of 30 to hit that top water bait.
Wow.
And he was out there in the middle of the lake up by Mobridge in 70 foot of water, just putting a waxing on it. But that was a lot later in the year, but there's so much different structure. There's so much different thing. Like George Little asked me last night, is there any hydrilla, milfoil, grass of any sort? Southern guy that's used to fishing grass lakes. And I said, there's not much of it. I mean, not really. I guess I've heard of some, milfoil or hydrilla in some of the bays when the bays get really low. But I don't know. Do you know much of any of that kind of weedness? You're more familiar with the lake, and with your day job, you would know.
It's really not. There's not a bunch of vegetation out there. Again, maybe in the very backs of bays, or maybe like on top of Sully Flats, Peoria Flats, you can maybe get some. But I mean, for the most part, you're looking at, like you said, there's a variety of structures. We're going to have a lot of it's going to be that more main lake structure. So whether it's like when we catch them in Gulf Cup, we catch smallmouth all the time. When we're out ripping jig and wrap spoons, those are on humps. Those are off points, ledges. But again, you can go into the very back of a creek and you can catch a bunch of fish. I mean, this time of year, I'd take people out, and when we had our walleyes, they'd want a smallmouth fish. And I would just, the points that we were fishing maybe in 12 to 15 feet for walleyes, if I went up into 4-6 feet, you could see those smallmouth up there. And I'm no bass angler, but I just throw like a jig and like a power bait and we catch fish. And I think that's kind of speaks to that Oahe fishery is you don't have to be a hardcore bass angler to go catch a lot of fish and have a lot of fun and have a chance to stick a real big one too. I mean, I can do it, so anybody can, is kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is I always tell everybody I'm a terrible fisherman. That's why I run tournaments and do that stuff. But yeah, it's like you can have, different. I mean, you catch them on the rocks. You catch them, pulling cranks over the trees. I mean, these bass are in every inch of this lake, and I just hopefully we got it timed right. They pull up on beds, and these guys can sight fish them. And I mean, could you imagine sight fishing walleyes, and picking the fish you want to cast?
I would have so much fun. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, just going this fish right here. Okay, I'm gonna miss that little 14-incher, but I'm gonna get that. What a benefit. And
I'll even tell you, you jog my memory here as we were talking about the topwaters. But I was pre-fishing for Gov Cup last year, and I was fishing humps, probably 27 feet of water, and I had a spoon rod in one hand, and then I was just hanging a jig and a half crawler over the side, and I was just kind of searching around on the hump, and I just reeled up, and I just kind of had my jig just 6-8 inches down in the water, and I look up, and my rod's just bending like crazy, and I thought, oh my god, I got it stuck in my prop. What an idiot! And I had like a 3.5 pounder on. I was like, whoa, this is awesome. But yeah, that was, and then I looked, and same thing, like as I reeled up, I'd see them chasing up after it as we were doing. I mean, that's just the coolest thing for this walleye guy over here. And these guys actually know how to catch them. They get it. They're actually targeting them and doing them way better than Nick trolling in 6 inches of water with a jig and a crawler.
Yeah, it's a similar story. I was out Peoria Flats one day in our little Linnell Lunker tournament that we do. Oh no, there's nothing going on.
Yep.
No air raid. That's just Trey's cell phone going off.
It very much panicked me this morning. I thought we were having another earthquake or something was going down.
But yeah, so I was out there in Sully Flat or Peoria Flats and jigging wrapping and stuff like that. And I just hung my jigging wrap over the side to help my wife do something. Next thing I know, my pole's about going off the boat, and I reach up, and it was out of the water, and a smallie come up and smashed it out of the water. So awesome. I mean, they're aggressive. They eat about anything.
Yep.
You know, and these guys that know how to do it a lot better than we do, and it's going to be really cool to see what they get done and the miles and miles of river they have to cover. And you know, a gentleman came down, was watching takeoff, and he said every boat went north.
Yep.
So I think there's, I mean, I'm going to sneeze here, but
I didn't know where the cough button was.
Yeah.
I was working on it.
Somewhere, you know, in the Gov Cup, I mean, it's kind of funny. I watch, you know, when I was on the boat, like Nate does now, and watching, I kind of count how many boats would go south.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of years, most boats turned and went north, and they really just didn't go south.
Nope.
And a few years in there, you see a majority of them go south. But I bet you, you know, in 170, 180 boat field, you know, there's years that I have 10 boats out of the whole field turning go south.
Wow.
And everybody else goes north. And I think people just don't try the lower end. I've caught a lot of good fish, and I'm a terrible fisherman, but the lower end can produce some really good fish.
Oh, and we were one of the south boats last year. I remember we pulled in, and we have Mason's boat that can go 55 miles an hour, and we got my tiller that I've been picking on all weekend. And you look at us like, whoa, what's wrong with the 202? I remember you asking us that, and we said we ain't going very far, and we need the tiller. We need some boat control.
Yeah.
But again, same thing. We didn't go but 6 miles. I mean, we went 6 miles south, and we were fishing, and we'd been on a really good bite. Obviously, when we get into tournament time, you seem to have a little bit of a curse on us, but I mean, there's great fishing to be had. See, the Kurt curse.
I don't know if it's the Kurt curse. You know, the Walleye Cup, I always call it the Gov Cup flip, because the lake seems to just completely change the week of the Gov Cup.
Yep. And that's what happened to us. We were catching them. We got an over in 6 feet of water before, I think it was the Wednesday before. And we pulled in, and they were, the shallowest one, I think, was 35 when we pulled in day one.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's just absolutely crazy to watch them fish do that and slide to different depths. And I mean, like I said, it's, you know, it could be Thursday before the tournament. It's just absolutely game on. You got a plan, and then they just go, oh, Gov Cup weekend. Let's disappear. You know, and that, I mean, miles of river, like I said before, can be a hindrance. I mean, it's you've got a lot of water that you can fish and cover, and you know,
and that's what's interesting to me too, because we talked about it, and there's boats. Every boat went north, right? But there might be, I'm not going to say they're all stopping on Sully Flats, which is probably what, 6-7 miles up. The Cheyenne's up there. There's a good chance a lot of them are at the Cheyenne. There's some really good stuff up by Little Bend. I mean, we've caught a lot of smallmouth just incidentally as we were walleye fishing up there. But there's boats that ran all the way to Gettysburg, Whitlock, 212 Bridge. Took them 45 minutes. I mean, if you're going that fast, it's not that long of a boat ride. So it's a lot of river, but especially even even for these guys, they can cover that ground. I remember I fishing with a kid that said he fished with Van Dam, and he said, yeah, he'd run from spot to spot, and it was 6 miles. I was like, I run the spot to spot. It's like 3 points. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a completely different style of fishing, you know. Cover a lot of water though.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is they're covering a ton of water, and
Yep.
they can do it. So, I mean, they can only fish with one rod a person.
Yep.
So they're not trolling. They don't have to reset all the trolling lines. They don't have to do any
Yep.
of that stuff. So a move is seconds compared to minutes.
Yep.
You know, you watch the Elite Series on their lives and stuff, and the marshal on the boat, like when that guy like puts his rod down and reaches for that trolling motor, that marshal better be moving into the seat and get his life jacket on, because that pro is back there, life jacket on, motor engaged in seconds. He pulls that trolling motor and he's in that seat and they're gone. You know, it's absolutely crazy how fast they can reposition themselves.
And that's what's really stood out to me is it seems to me, like you said, bass fishing is just such a faster sport than walleye fishing. I mean, it's you are from cat. I mean, you watch those good elite guys. They aren't finishing casts. They have 10 feet that they know there's a fish or not a fish, and then they're reeling in and they're casting. They're flipping right back out to it. You know.
Yeah.
You think about how much time they're not wasting out there. Whereas if I'm gonna go trolling 30 feet on Sully Flats, I got a lot of time to get the leg core out there. I mean, that is a lot of time. So, and they don't have any of that. They reel up and they're gone, and that's really cool to me.
So Trey, have you done much bass fishing, or what's your type of fishing that you usually do? You said you had some. What'd you call that?
The atomic bomb.
The atomic bomb.
I'm excited to see that tomorrow. By the way, we have an atomic bomb tournament that's going to take place here as we're waiting for these guys.
No, I enjoy fishing a lot. I don't do much of the boat fishing.
Mm-hmm.
I always grew up from shore fishing, so I've gotten pretty good at that.
Well, let me put this question out there. Have you ever noticed when we shore fish, we cast out in the water? When we boat fish, we cast to shore. You ever notice that?
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean,
oh yeah.
Think about that. Everyone thinks they got to have a boat, but yet we cast to shore.
Yep. Well, and I'll tell you, I mean, Trey, I'll even ask you, but I think we're pretty lucky here in Pierre with the amount of shore fishing that we have. You don't have to have a boat. I mean, we glorify this, and Lake Oahe is a big lake. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, what we have down at Fort George, especially with the work that was done on those access pods, the stairsways, the guys at Fort George were catching fish when we weren't catching fish in Sharp Showdown. You know, that's pretty. I mean, so I mean, you can speak to it better. I mean, how much shore fishing do we have?
I think you can do just as much shore fishing as you can with a boat.
Yep.
I mean, you go down to Core Bay and start. You can walk all the way around and keep going for who knows how long.
Yep. And you're catching smallies, you're catching walleyes, you're, you know, right time of year, you could catch a salmon from shore. Exactly. I mean, I think that's just, you know, that stands out to me and that speaks to me is you don't have to have 6 hours to go run all the way up to Cheyenne to have a fun day fishing. I mean, you can go down to the causeway at night. You can go, you can go off.
Some of my favorite is sand in the fast water in the evenings in the fall. And you know, some of my favorite, there's nothing, I've never done that. You have your headlamp on, you look in the water and you see the walleyes on the rocks. It takes me back to my favorite Bob Prop Sr. story. And I don't know if you've ever heard this one, Nick. I know Trey hasn't. Years ago, I was working and Senior calls me up and I'm at work and it's like 3:00 in the afternoon. And he's on the phone and he's whispering. He goes, "They're there." And I go, "What?" He goes, "Shh, they're there." I go, "What are you talking about?" And he's like 1973 on McConaughey. The walleyes are on the face of the dam. And I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Can we go fishing tonight?" And I'm like, "Yep." Well, I said, "I get off at 5. I'll come pick you up, Senior." Thinking we're just going to go to the rocks. I didn't have a boat at the time. And called me about 4 times from 3 to 5 to make sure we we're still going. I went over to his apartment. I picked him up and I said, "Senior, what are we taking? Or what are we doing?" He goes, "We're going to get the Alaskan." I said, "Senior, when was the last time the Alaskan was in the water?" And he's like, "I think Junior duck hunted in it." Okay. Battery's been on a charger? Probably not. All right. So we go get the boat. Pulled up to the gas station. Put gas in the boat. I go, "Senior, do you need oil?" Old 2-stroke. And he goes, "No." Pulls a can out of the back that still had the old tin full pull top on. He couldn't even see what it was. Just starts dumping. I go, "Senior, you gonna measure that?" And he goes, That looks about right. Shakes the gas can up, and I'm like, okay, we are in for this. So we go to Runnings next, and I'm like, okay, first thing I'm going to buy is a jumper pack, and I'm going to buy a couple lights, and that. So I buy those things. I said, Senior, what do we need for tackle? And he goes, black and chrome original wrap. Okay, so I'm over in the aisle, and I'm like, black and chrome. I'm like, let's grab a blue one. I put it in the bag. He put it back on the shelf. Grab an orange one. He put it back on the shelf. All he wanted was black and chrome. I think I finally stuck a couple colors in there.
Yep.
But we go out and put it in the face of the dam, and we're going to troll. And I go, what do we got? And he gives me a spin casting reel. I'm like, okay. I don't know how this is going to go, but if anybody knew Bob Prop Sr., you're going to catch fish.
Yep.
Or he's going to catch fish. And make
You're going to watch.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we're pulling along the shore, and I kid you not, the rocks were probably not 5 feet off the end of my rod. And he's like, all right, what you're going to do, partner, is you're going to flip it out, count to 25, and put your finger on the line. Do not close the bail.
Yep.
I'm like, okay. And he's like, no, why? And he goes, it's a crankbait gets stuck. You can let your finger go and it'll float up. We won't lose them. Okay. So we're pulling along the face of the dam. And I think my crankbait gets stuck. So I let up. And all of a sudden, the line just keeps going. And I'm like, this ain't stuck.
Oh.
I reel it up. I'm like, whoa. It was like a 27-incher.
Yep.
And as the night went on, we were driving along the shore. And one of my buddies called. And I said, he goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm fishing with Bob Prop Sr. You need to drive to California Beach. We'll pick you up, get in the boat, shut your mouth, and listen to what Senior tells you, because if you try it, like, you're not going to believe what we're doing. And we could watch the walleye swim along the rocks and go back and smash our crankbaits.
That's awesome.
And we caught like 21 of them over 23 inches that night.
Jeez.
Senior wanted to keep every one of them. I said, Senior, we can't. I mean, I still have on my phone, see if I can prop this up. My backdrop is a picture of that night.
Yep.
Of me and Senior standing out there. It's got a bad glare, but what an absolutely incredible experience. And I've tried to mimic that night, and it's never happened. I've done the same thing we did.
Yep.
Shallow. I've never got it done, but it was, and that was 2013 when the fish was not good. And I mean, the big fish was not good in this lake. And we overhauled them 2 nights in a row doing that. And the best part about the whole story is we're driving along the second night, and there's a boat that pulled up in front of us and started pitching jigs.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trolling the whole face. If anybody's been in the face, it's a mile long or whatever it is. And we're going by them, and I look back in the back, and Senior's doing this. What are you doing? He goes, can't let them know what we're doing, partner. I'm like, they've watched us come for a half mile, and there's no way that they think we're jigging. Like, just as we went by him, he starts jigging his rod, and what an incredible experience. But that was, sorry for the rabbit hole I went down with that, but that's that night fishing on Lake Sharp. Yep. On the fast water, you got your headlamp, and all you see is eyes come through there, and you're just like, oh my. Like, and you can get them right close to shore, and they smash it, and it is so much fun. So if you have not done that, it's a huge opportunity for everybody.
And that's the best thing too. This is kind of my shameless plug to pheasant hunters. Is I don't know why a person comes to pier and to pheasant hunt and doesn't have a rod with them. Because I mean, that's totally what you can do. Walk the fields all day. You go to the dam for 45 minutes. You're literally half the time it feels like you're pulling those fish offshore, because that's where they're biting. You literally set the hook and you fling the fish into your hand, and it's so fun. And that's you don't, like I said, you don't have to dedicate 4, 5, 6, 7 hours into a $100,000 boat to do this. You can just go do that every night. And I mean, high school, I mean, that's what you go do. That's how you do it. And it's a ton of fun, and you'll learn a bunch about fish. You get to see it happen. And that's the type of stuff that makes you an angler for the next 40 years and sit in your tournaments and even get wiped out every once in a while. You still go back out and do it.
Yeah. So, well, guys, we're about 25-minute mark. The guys must not have found anybody. If they pop on, we will come back live. Thanks for hanging on and watching. And we will, if they come back on and we get them on the water, when they find some boats, like I said, great day. They could be spread from here to Whitlocks. They can run with 1 tank of gas as far as they can go. So They can't fuel in the water. They can't carry gas. So as far as that boat will make it there and back on one tank, they can make that run. And like we said this morning, we talked to a few guys last night that were talking 212 bridge area, which is, we got to get Trevor Nold came in with a
Ooh, a 29. Look at that.
He's going to be right there in that mix of what that weight's going to be. So
I was going to say, he's kind of, I thought I was a little ambitious, but maybe realistic with 27. 32, we're going to have us an awesome day if that's,
almost hope.
if that, but 29 and 28, I think those are going to be two that are going to be.
I think I feel bad with my 24, I said this morning.
You were very pessimistic about this.
I wasn't trying to be pessimistic. I was trying to be a realist.
Oh, I think it's pessimism. I'm saying 27. He's got 32 over here.
Hey, I would love nothing more than a 32-pound bag come across that stage at weigh-in. So
best case.
Like I said, if them guys pop on, if we get them coming into the studio, we'll come back live with you. So stick around, and we will be back live with them guys on the water.
Yep. And then weigh-ins are going to be at 3 o'clock today.
3 o'clock live on Facebook and YouTube, or come out to Spring Creek. What a beautiful day.
It is an absolutely gorgeous day. If you want to come out and see some awesome fish, you're going to see the bass in the holding tank. We're going to release all these fish too. So, if you got little kids that want to see a whole bunch of big fish, or you are a little kid like me that wants to see a whole bunch of big fish, this is something to come out to, enjoy an awesome afternoon and see a bunch of really cool fish and get involved in this. It's going to be a lot of fun out here.
Yeah. Thanks guys for joining.
All right. We'll be in touch. We'll see you.